All right. Welcome to Community Update 185. I put the tech update link in the chat. I'm going to share my screen briefly. I hope everybody is able to see my screen and hear me okay. So this is Community Update 185. The network status remains the same as before. The big update there is that there is a block merge testnet that is available to the community now. And I put the details to access that in here. Basically, where you were using testnet in your URLs before, you have to replace that with a BM for block merge.testnet. So it's bm.testnet instead of testnet. And that'll take you to the new block merge enabled testnet. This is the hard fork one. So if you're running any of your code, there may be some data changes that you may have to take care of in your dApps. I know Jim Whitescarver ran his org.gov or org.vote application on this, and it went through fine. So in many cases, it may be, the changes may be very simple. But we encourage the community to use this as much as possible. It prepares you for the hard fork too, and it also helps us out with improving or catching any conditions our testing has not caught. So I strongly encourage the community to use the bm.testnet nodes and faucet and everything else. Now, along with that, Tomislav has created a TypeScript version of his test page and has enabled that with the block merge network support, where you can choose any particular block merge testnet node that you want to deploy to and all that. So that link is also provided in here. So that's the other thing. He's looking for some feedback on his TypeScript-based test page also. So that kind of exposes the block merge testnet to the community. And of course, there is still some work there in block merge that I'm going to talk to briefly now. And we'll update the testnet, block merge testnet as we make progress. In particular, I think next week, we're hoping to have the next version of the block merge testnet and update the testnet with that. Separately, there will be performance improvements that'll come along as we work through them. So that's the overall plan for the block merge hard fork, and the block merge testnet is the initial exposure to that hard fork 2. We're also simultaneously working on some things for hard fork 3. PO, in particular, Quantifier is working on the POS contract changes and state update and state transition, system contract updates and state transition from one version of the code base to another. But he's been on vacation this last week, so we don't have anything new to report there, but work is continuing in that branch also for hard fork 3. Coming back to hard fork 2, basically the two main things are rev balances, or what we're calling as per deploy vault. And this was needed, this was necessitated to reduce conflicts in the block merge process. And the other thing is attestation messages, which were basically invented to make finalization proceed irrespective of whether or not there are real deploys, paid deploys on the network. And then when the network is quiet, these allow us to not take up too many resources on the network. So there are no transactions. So those are the two pieces of which on the attestation messages, the code is complete and the tests are passing. The PR now needs to be reviewed. And when the merging of the rev balances or the per deploy vault aspect code is in, we'll have to do test there. We have to test both of them together make sure everything is all working together. And that will be the end of the code task for later for block merge. Now, on the merging of the rev balances, this one is a little bit more delicate. The initial code is in, it's being refined and tested. Because this impacts a whole bunch of old code, meaning it's constrained by how the old code is written and the assumptions made in there. We're having to refactor some portions of that, and that work is continuing. Tom Slow is working on that. But we do have the initial code and it's being tested and refined. We should make good progress on this this week. So these are the two main things. Attestation message, this is already done, and the rev balances merging is being done. And once both of those are complete, we have the leader full block merge. NetZipper has started work on work towards leaderless block merge, which is the next one, which is basically to take the synchrony constraint down to 0.67 and see when we have a DAG whether everything that we're doing in the block merge process is working as intended. In particular, to make sure that there is no network branching out happening in that process, and that finalization is still able to come to a reasonable conclusion on there. So that work NetZipper has started on, and we'll know probably next week how much of work that entails. Because basically the initial piece is to just do the block merge, leaderless block merge, and then test it on the system and see how many tests are failing and or what other issues we're noticing, and then work from there. That's the process there for that. Separately, we talked about this in the past about improving debugging, monitoring, and a troubleshooting toolkit. Gurinder has started work on that, where we're trying to get everything, all data and all logs into InfluxDB. And they seem to have a nice toolkit called Telegraph that allows us to report any metrics from there in a relatively clean and straightforward fashion. The idea is that we will have these kind of dashboards available both for developers so that they can quickly look at trends and look at problems and troubleshoot them, but also to enable some version of that at a higher level for the community at large and the public at the network level. If you recall, there we had a network dashboards milestone slated for 2022. So this is a little bit of a beginning towards that. And we'll see how, I mean, there's a lot more that can be done on the user interface side, obviously, anytime you're doing this public-facing dashboards. But we're not going to go crazy on that at the moment. We're just going to take whatever comes canned with the toolkit and try to at least publish that to the community so that folks have a quick view of a quick view about the network and what's going on, what kind of performance they're able to see, how much time is it taking to process a single block, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the user interface, the canned interface is not bad. So when I say we're not going to spend a whole lot of time, I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time. And I suspect any time spent on UI is, the gains will be incremental. So that's why we're not going to focus on that at this point in time. And then on the performance improvements, Dennis and Tomislav are working in the history Merkle tree area. They're preparing a spec, and we'll do proof of concept improvements for performance in Scala. But by having a spec, anybody that's skilled in Rust can also create a Rust version of it. Our suspicion is that the Rust version would perform better based on the work that Jerry Wang had done in the past. But we're going to first have the spec out there, and then we'll do the Scala implementation, and then eventually the Rust implementation. This is all just performance oriented. Now, there is also optimization we could do for storage, but that we will look into after we're done with the performance optimization. There's a small bug fix in the transaction API that Will has created a PR for 3510 that'll be reviewed and merged eventually. So that's, I think, the overall state of affairs. We are expecting a leaderful block merge version on the testnet next week, and I think that would be the final version of the leaderful block merge, and then there's the leaderless block merge that's being worked on. Are there any questions, comments on any of this at all? All right. Let's see. Daryl, did you want to do the community update next, or are you ready?
Sure. Feels weird not having Greg here.
I know. The master of ceremonies is not here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. This is the community update from August 12th to August 18th. On Thursday, the 12th, in the governance committee, we mainly discussed the IOB and nominating process for the AGM, and issue 18, which involves policies for allowing shards to connect to mainnet. On Friday, in the climate coordination RCast, we discussed the IPCC report number 6 that was just released, Nora's picks for the best tweets from climate Twitter, fires in California and Greece, and how energy use has now become a main priority for any blockchain platform due to climate change concerns. On Monday, the Casper stand-up. This week's Casper stand-up covered alternative interpretations of the quantifiers. In particular, in the context of quantale semantics, we sketched out 4 quantifiers, 2 additive and 2 multiplicative. We then gave a discussion of how OSLF approaches the foundations of mathematics. And I didn't understand anything I just read there. Well, a little bit. Let's see. Also on Monday at the RDev member co-op planning, they discussed engagement of the Team Human community. They also worked on new ballot for voting on RChain for possible use in October, and they reviewed community wallet status and greeted GitHub repo. Anyone who doesn't know about Team Human, it is a initiative, I guess you'd call it. It's also a book by Douglas Rushkoff. Highly recommend checking it out. On Tuesday, yesterday in the communications working group, we discussed the progress and intent for the info and for investors video, showing a high level look at the RChain ecosystem. We also discussed more particulars around the Marilyn Monroe NFT sale and some research I've done around other photo-based NFT platforms. Also yesterday in the DApp developer work study, they did cooperation research planning and creating Rev address using MetaMask. And then this morning at the active member hangout, Jim was at the vet giving his dogs a manicure and a rabies shot. There was just 3 of us today for some reason. So it was mainly Steve Henley and I discussing more on the RChain NFT plans. And that's basically it for the week.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Daryl on anything he covered, or any other comments about the community activity? All right. Does Steve, Ian, Nora, do any of you have anything you wanted to add? Any for the community?
There is just one thing. It looks like next Friday on the 27th, the Arnold family is going to join us on an RCast, so that'll be great. But other than that, no.
Oh, that's excellent. So I guess that's RCast is on Fridays. I think what is it, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30
right,
Pacific?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So for
Yeah,
any
so we'll
members
be
that
having a
want
really
to,
nice conversation, I think. Probably would be Steve Ross Talbot, me, Daryl, Greg, whoever else.
Yeah, any other members that want to join, it's open to everybody.
yeah,
Yep.
so it's open to the public.
And yeah, so that'll be nice. Yeah.
Very good. All right, anything from anyone else? If not, I think I will end with Greg's sign-off line. Stay safe and stay healthy. We'll see you at the next debrief or on Discord.